My name is Vicky. So here I am with the new AWS video. Now before I go to the demo, if you are here for the first time, then do subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon so that you will get notified of the new video. Hi everyone. So today in this video we are going to start with the AWS monitoring service, and in AWS when we need to monitor any of the resource, we are going to use the service that is CloudWatch monitoring. Now before going to the CloudWatch, I need to talk about the monitoring only. Now what exactly the monitoring is? Monitoring is very important. Like whenever we are creating any of the resource in anywhere, it could be in AWS, it could be in any other cloud provider, or it could be on the physical server, it could be on the virtual server, then we need to monitor that resource. And why we need to monitor that resource? So that we can understand the behavior in the sense, like if there is any cpu utilization, memory utilization which is high, and we need to take some kind of action, we can actually take that action. With the help of the logs, we can understand the pattern. If there is any log which we need to avoid in future, so we can take some action against that, right? So for this, monitoring is very important. Monitoring only help me to understand the behavior of my resource. Now in market we have a number of tools to monitor the services. Now I'm not talking about the machine monitoring right now. I'm talking about in general when we have to monitor, like it could be a database, it could be any storage service, it could be the machine. When we need to monitor all those services, we need a tool in between. Now when I talk about the third party tools, like we have the Datadog, Splunk, we have Nagio. So these are the common tools which we have in the market. I'm sure there are a number of tools in the market. I don't want to talk about all the tools right now. The okay. Now in AWS we have a tool which is provided by the AWS, that is a CloudWatch monitoring. CloudWatch monitoring, that is something enabled by default. So we don't have to enable it. But if we need more metrics, then we need to enable it. More metrics, I mean to say, like if I'm going to talk about the memory metrics, if I'm going to talk about the disk utilization, that is something we will not get enabled by default. Let's suppose I have a machine running on my AWS and I want to see the memory utilization of that machine. For that I need to install one of the agent on that machine. I will not get it by default. CPU, I will get it by default. So I will go to that point, like what all things we will get by default, what all the things we need to install if we need to monitor our services. But CloudWatch monitoring is not only the monitoring service which is there in the market. We have other services as well in the market. The only reason we are using the CloudWatch monitoring, because it is integrated, right? I can manage the control over my resources with the help of one of the service which is provided by the AWS only. Now I have my resource in the AWS and I want to manage that resource, manage the monitoring of that resource with the AWS service only. That is going to help me a lot because there is an integration in place. If I am going with the third party tool, I need to establish the connectivity. It might be there is some problem with the connectivity as well, so I need to check those things as well. So that is the reason CloudWatch monitoring is very famous when we talk about the AWS resources. Now let's suppose I have a machine running. Now this is the machine you can see on the screen. So let me go to the AWS console and let me show you the machine which I have. So this is the machine which is already in the running state right now, and I have couple of tabs here. Now if I go to the monitoring tab, I have these monitorings, right? It is telling me the CPU utilization, it is telling me the status check, network out, network packet. So these all monitorings I will get by default. Now if I scroll up a bit, I will get manage detail monitoring option as well. If I am going to click on that, it says to enable this thing we need to click on this one. It also says one more thing, if we are going to enable this thing, then it is going to be on additional charges. Now what is the difference between this detail monitoring and the monitoring which is provided by the AWS by default? Now this is not a detail monitoring. So what it means, if I am going with the detail monitoring where I need to pay extra charge, but I will get a matrix for 1 minute. Here with the free tier I will not get a matrix for 1 minute. I will get a minimum matrix of 5 minutes. Okay, so here let's suppose if I need to see the CPU utilization of my machine, that is for 5 minutes by default. If I want to see it for 1 minute, that means I need to enable the detail monitoring. Okay, now if you see the time, it is telling me only for the fraction of 5 minutes, 6:55 7, because I don't have the detail monitoring enabled. That is the reason. By even if I have selected 1 minute, it is showing me a difference of 5 minutes. Let me go to the custom and let me go from the last 3 days, so I can see the CPU utilization. Let me go to the 5 minutes, so I can see the CPU utilization. Now here one thing which we need to see, that is the average. So this is the average CPU utilization of my machine, which is at 10%. Okay, an average utilization it is showing me for a period of this to this. That's okay, so you can select according to the time. Now if I want to see the maximum CPU utilization of this, so I can select the maximum. Now the maximum is at 25%. Earlier when we were in the average it was 10%, and now when we are in the maximum it is telling me 25%. So by this we can change it. Like if I want to see the sum, if I want to sample count, like how many times the CPU utilization is there, so I can also do that. Minimum CPU, maximum CPU, I can actually toggle between these things, and I can understand the behavior of my machine. I can go to the custom, select the number of days, and here the time is in the UTC. If I want to change it, I can change it to my local time zone as well. So these all things I can configure it here. The same option I will get it in the CloudWatch as well. Now let me go to the CloudWatch. So here, let me open it in a new tab. Now here I am in the CloudWatch. Okay, now here we have the service for the Matrics. Now here it is, Matrics. In the CloudWatch we can configure the alarms, we can configure the logs, we can configure the metrics. So let me go to the Matrix. It is showing all the metrics right now for the Mumbai location. Now let me see where my machine is running. It is also running in the Mumbai location. Now it is not only providing me with the EC2 metrics, it is also providing me with the other metrics as well, like S3, RDS, EBS, ECS. So right now my task is to see only for the EC2, so let me go to that. And here in the EC2 I have this thing divided into further, like I can see it with the image ID, I can see with the per instance metrics, aggregate by the instance type across all instance, and auto scaling as well. So for this video we will stick to the per instance metrics. Here is my metrics, CloudWatch monitoring, and I can also verify with the instance ID, so ending with 4F3. Let me go to my EC2 console, 4F3, right? Let me go here. Now let's suppose, let me click on the CPU utilization. Again the same thing it is telling me. Let me go to custom for the last 3 days. Let me go. Now here it is telling me I need to go for, let's suppose, stack area, and let me go to the action. Not from here, let me go to graph matrix. Yes, from here. Now from here I can change it to like minimum, maximum, the same options I was getting over there. Okay, let me go to the CloudWatch one more time. Now what I need to do is I need to configure an alarm on this. Alarm in the sense, like let's suppose when my CPU utilization is more than 80%, then I need to take some action and I need to configure some kind of alarm. So how I can do that? So I have couple of options. So the first option which I have, what I need to do is I need to go to the all metrics. So let me go browse. So here I need to select the particular metrics on which I need to enable the alarm. Once I'm going to select that, let's suppose for this demo we are going to select the CPU utilization. Now what I need to do is I need to go to the third tab, which is a graph matrix. Once I'm here, here is a bell icon. Now I need to click on the bell icon. It is going to redirect me to the alarms. We can verify it from here, right? Now the next thing, what I need to monitor, so I want it for the maximum, minimum, average, whatever I want. Here I can also see it is telling me the instance ID, instance name, and the period as well. Now if we want for to go for 1 minute, we can go for that, but first we need to enable the detail monitoring. If we are not going to enable the detail monitoring, that is not going to work. So that is the difference between the detail monitoring and the monitoring which is provided by the AWS by default. In detail monitoring we also have to pay money, so be cautious. If you are going to enable the detail monitoring, make sure that it is going to cost you. So for this demo I don't want to pay any bill, so I am not going with the 1 minute. I will go with the free tier only. Now the next we have the threshold type. So the static, and after that, whenever the CPU utilization is greater than equal to, lower or lower than equal to, let's suppose I want to go for the static, and then the greater, or let's suppose let me go greater than equal to 80%. Okay, so here what I means is, whenever my CPU utilization is greater than or equal to 80%, this alarm will trigger. Now the next thing, we have the additional configurations here as well. Now here we have the data points to the alarm. Now here we have selected a period of 5 minutes. Now let's suppose if I am going to sit out of the 2. Now what that means? So that means it is going to monitor this thing for 2 data point. One data point is for 5 minutes, so that means 2 data point is for 10 minutes. Out of 2 data point, if 2 are meeting, then it is going to take action. Let's suppose if I am going to replace this thing to 1. Now what will happen? Here the period is for 5 minutes, and here the data point is set to 2, so that means total 10 minutes. Data point is 2, so 5 minutes, that is 10. Out of 2 data point, if one is not meeting this criteria, what will happen? This is going to trigger. If I am going to replace it to 2, that means both need to be matched. Let me explain this thing with an example. Let's suppose my server right now is more than 80% of the utilization. CPU utilization is more than 80%. Now this continues for a period of 6 minutes. After 6 minutes, it back to normal, and after 15 minutes is again, after I'm going to say after 7 or 8 minutes, it is going to again on the more than 80%. Now that means one of the data point not met, right? But here we are saying that both the data point needs to meet. So here it need to meet 10 minutes of the time. If it is going to be for 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, it is not going to trigger any of the alarm. Once it is going to meet this thing, that means it is going to meet for the 10 minutes, then it is going to trigger alarm. So if I am going to say for 1, then what will happen? If it is going to meet for 5 minutes, it is going to send me an alarm. And after that, what we want to say, like missing data treatment, like we want to treat this data as missing, we can actually select anything. It is not going to make any difference, and these are the standards provided by the AWS. So we don't have the option to customize this thing. Like I want, okay, my CPU utilization is high, something like that. I cannot customize it, so we need to select any one of these. Let me go with the default and let me click on next. Now the next option we have, that is alarm state trigger. In alarm, if we need to send any of the notification in the sense, I have configured one of my SNS topic. Now how to configure the SNS topic, that is something we are not going to discuss in this video. I'm going to create a separate video for that, and you will get detailed information like how we can create a SNS topic and how we can configure it here. But let's suppose we have a topic already created, so we need to send the notification to that topic, so we can select it from here. Like for this video we are going to use this thing, and it is going to send an email to the trainer DevOps active@gmail.com. I have this SNS topic already created. Don't worry about the SNS topic. I'm going to create a separate video. You will understand each and everything. Now in alarm, in OK or insufficient data. Now this is something I will explain later. This is very important. Let me scroll down a bit. Now the next option we have for the auto scaling we have not configured, so we are just going to ignore that option, and the EC2 action. Now there is an alarm. Let's suppose we have configured CPU utilization to 80%, and now the CPU utilization is more than 80% for a period of 10 minutes. What will happen? So we can configure it here. We want to stop the instance, we want to terminate the instance, or we want to reboot the instance. We can actually do that from here. Let's suppose whenever it is in alarm, it is going to stop the instance, or it is going to reboot the instance. It is going to do that. We can configure multiple actions here. It is not something one action. Let's suppose I want, when it is in insufficient data, it is going to stop the instance. It is going to do that. I don't want to do that. Let me remove this thing. So whenever it is in alarm state, it is going to reboot the instance. I can also take the system manager action. Again, we I'm not going to talk about the system manager in this video. I'm going to create a separate video, or there is a video already created by me on this topic. You can go and watch that video. So let me configure next. Now here we can give the alarm name. So let me give the name demo alarm. Here we can provide the description as well. Next, now it is telling me what all we have configured, so we can verify all those details and we can create an alarm. Now once I'm going to create a alarm, it is going to tell me insufficient data. Now what exactly this means is, insufficient data means it is not getting any of the metrics right now. It is not getting anything from the server right now. Whenever we will get this state insufficient data, that means my monitoring is not configured, or it is in the process of configuring, or it is not getting any data from the machine right now. Once it will get the data, it is going to change the state. Let me refresh it. As of now, it is still telling me insufficient data. Whenever we are going to configure a alarm for the first initial 1 or 2 minutes, it is going to tell me the insufficient data, because at that moment of time it is not getting any any data from the machine. So that is the reason it is showing insufficient data. See, now the state changed to okay. So that means it is getting the data, and the CPU utilization is less than 80% right now. Okay, let's do a demo and see. Let's increase the CPU utilization to more than 80% and see if it is going to send us an alarm or not. So for that, as of now, we have configured it here. Okay, everything is properly configured. Now let me go and log into my machine. So let me cross this thing. Here is my machine. So how to log into the machine, that's we already know. If you are not sure like how to log into the machine, you can always go and watch my previous video in order to see how we can create a Linux machine and how to log into that Linux machine. So here I have my terminal. Let me go to my terminal. Here is my terminal. Okay, now let me log in. CD downloads, and the name is EC2, that is the default username, @ whatever the IP address I have. Okay, I logged into my machine. Now what I need to do is I need to increase the CPU of this machine. So how I can do that? We have a number of commands available in order to spike the CPU utilization of my machine. So even I don't remember the command. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see my notes. There is a stress command. So okay, no, I have not written it here. Let me see. Yes, this is the command. Let me minimize this thing. Cancel. Where is my machine? So here is my machine. Let me mark this thing. Oops, we need to install this thing as well. So sudo yum install stress -5. Okay, no package available. We need to look for some alternative in order to increase the CPU. I am not going into detail why we are not able to install that package. That's okay. So increase CPU utilization on Linux. So how to increase? Here is, do we have anything? CPU info. It is telling me the CPU info. Okay, here is the command. Now we need to execute this command with the help of the root user. This is for the demo purpose I'm doing. Don't do it on your production machine or something. So sudo su- to become a root user, and from here I need to run it. Let me run it couple of times. Fine. Now let me go to my CloudWatch console. So here is the CloudWatch console. Let me go to the all metrics. Here is the matrix, and let me select for the last local time. Let me select for the last 5 minutes. As of now, it is not showing anything. It will take some time because it is free tier. So free tier is for 5 minutes. So we need to wait for 5 minutes. then it is going to show me the data, and once it is going to show me the data, it is also going to trigger this alarm as well. So it's all almost couple of minutes now. We can check. Let me refresh this thing. Okay, from here it is not showing. Let me go to my machine and let me see exactly the CPU utilization. So how we can check that? With the help of the top command, and here we are going to see the CPU is showing 100%. So that means the process which we ran, that is the correct process, and the CPU utilization is more than 99% right now. Great. Let me go to the in alarm. Let me see if there is any alarm or not. There is no alarm. Let me go to the all alarm, go to the demo one. Yes, I can see the spike here. Great. Now once we have the spike, that means it is going to be in alarm state. We can see it's in alarm state. Wow. Let me go to the alarm. We can see this thing in the alarm. Now what it is going to do is it is going to reboot the machine. Let me refresh this thing quickly, and let me see the last timing of the machine. So it is 12:41. Let me refresh. Refresh this. We have alarm in place. See, I'm in the download folder, so that means it's logged out from my machine. Let me see the uptime. It is up from the 0 minute, so that means it has rebooted my machine. Great. So now here I can see it is in the running state. Let me go here, let me refresh this thing. It is in alarm. So in alarm it is going to take two action. The first action was to send the notification to my email ID, and I already got the notification on my email ID. That is something I'm not going to show you here because the email ID is not configured here, and I don't want to log into the Gmail right now. And the second action was to reboot the machine, and that is something we have verified by logged into the machine by looking at with the command uptime, and it is telling me 0 minute 1 user, right? I hope you like this video. If you like this video, do subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon so that you will get notified of the new videos. Thank you.